The first impeachment witness appearing on Capitol Hill today. It comes as President Trump and Joe Biden continue to attack each other over Ukraine. Here's the latest. Former special envoy to Ukraine, Kurt Volker, testifying behind closed doors. Meanwhile, House Intelligence Chair Adam Schiff saying he's facing new scrutiny after it was revealed that the whistleblower, had contact with the House Intelligence Committee before filing the complaint. Now, here is the president's latest attack on Schiff and Biden.
Schiff has now been proven to be a liar. We've known it for 3 years because they've been trying to impeach for 3 years. He's a liar. He's a stone-cold liar. If they were honest about it, they'd start a major investigation into the Bidens. And by the way, likewise, China should start an investigation into the Bidens, because what happened in China is just about as bad as what happened with Ukraine.
Biden is fighting back against Trump's attacks, but raising new questions by admitting he talked to his son about Ukraine.
Mr. Trump and his hatchet men, and the special interests funding his attacks against me. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going to destroy me, and you're not going to destroy my family. I talked to my son. We've communicated. He lives out in California. We communicated a couple times, but look, there is zero evidence of any assertion being made.
And other Democrats are going after Trump as well, claiming the president is scared of impeachment.
I think the president knows the argument that can be made against him, and he's scared.
He also is actually obviously motivated by fear.
Clearly, he's afraid for the public to see either one of those things.
He's afraid of just how badly he may be beaten in November.
Dana, I was, struck that the president, people saying, oh, you shouldn't have called and talked to the Ukrainian president about getting dirt on Joe Biden. Today, he says just out loud, yeah, China, I'd like you to go get some dirt.
Yeah, he's saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
And it's different. And basically he's saying, okay, American people, you decide if this is wrong. Now, some Democrats will say, well, there's a law, and the law says you can't do this. But then President Trump is saying, well, there's laws against corruption as well. And so he's just basically putting it out there. I don't think he's afraid. I think that's a talking point. You can always tell when the bat signal has gone out with the word. Now, everybody say the word afraid today, and you'll get a gold star on your chart at the end of the day. The thing about Schiff having the whistleblower complaint before, it does, I think for Nancy Pelosi, her deputizing him to be basically the spokesperson on this is not a clear-cut win for her, because he, made up the parody of the phone call that he led the serious hearing with just keeps coming up over and over again. And then there's this question of why weren't you completely forthcoming? Now, I think they have a good point that they could say, well, the White House had the heads up about the whistleblower account because the CIA had gone to the White House lawyers, first of all, before they went to the Justice Department. So that gets a little bit more complicated. But I think Schiff, as a spokesperson for this, it's not necessarily great for Nancy Pelosi, but I don't think she has any other good options. She's probably going to have to drive this train herself.
All right. So, Jesse, the question that Dana raises, I think, is the one on a lot of people's minds. So is this wrong or is it illegal? We know today that the chairwoman, I should say, of the Federal Election Commission, Ellen Weintraub, retweeted that you can't do this, that it's illegal to ask another country for help, anything of value in terms of getting dirt on a political opponent. Our senior judicial analyst, Judge Napolitano, he said, just the summary of the phone call with the President Zelensky of Ukraine shows, and I'm quoting here, criminal and impeachable behavior.
I respectfully disagree with Judge Napolitano, and I would like to hold up another treaty.
Yes.
This is the treaty we have signed in 2000 with China for corruption and criminal things that we can ask them about and we can pull documents from. And just because Joe Biden happens to be running against the president doesn't make him above the law. Okay? He could drop out tomorrow and then Trump could ask China. Get out of here. You're saying the U.S. government and the Chinese government and the Ukrainian government can't ask questions about the Biden family because he's a politician? It's crazy. So I believe that trumps any sort of FEC violation. Also, it boils down to this. Trump is draining the swamp, and that's what the Democrats want him impeached for. And they care more about him fingering their corruption than the actual corrupt acts themselves. And he's going to swing for the fences, like you said. He's going to double down and do this right out in the sunlight, and he's going to say, why are you trying to impeach me? Let the Americans vote on this. Now, the Chinese thing also uncovered some more interesting facts about Hunter. Because Hunter is in business with John Kerry's son-in-law, a Heinz. And what did they do in 2017? They cut a deal with a Chinese communist-backed company for $600 million for an automobile firm. And you know what that Chinese-backed company had done a few years before? Stolen American technology and used it on their stealth fighter jets. And you know who let the deal go through? John Kerry, when he was Secretary of State, also while Joe Biden was vice president. To say that that is zero evidence of corruption, you put that to the American people and you think they're going to say, oh, yeah, nothing to see here? That's crazy. And there's a long laundry list of Biden family members for sale. If you look at Hunter, if you look at his brother, his $1.5 billion deal in Iraq, while Joe was the point man for Iraq. So the whole thing's crazy. And if you look at what Hillary Clinton was when she was running for Senate in 2000 in New York, Bill Clinton pardoned all those Puerto Rican terrorists so she could get the Puerto Rican vote. Or in 1999, when Rudy was mayor here and he was considering running for Senate against Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton sent the feds to go investigate Rudy and the NYPD. So there's no corruption there. Or how about Hillary when she's Secretary of State or running for president? Her foundation's getting tens of millions of dollars from Morocco, Saudi Arabia. That's not foreign interference in the election? Come on.
Well, okay. Those Democrats.
And now to commercial break.
Hey, Katie, the news of the day that we can also point to is Kurt Volker, the former special envoy to the Ukraine, who was mentioned in the whistleblower complaint going up to Capitol Hill. And what we have heard is that he testified that he warned Rudy Giuliani not to believe what he was hearing from various people in the Ukraine who had involvement with corruption, prosecution. He said, these people aren't trustworthy. What do you make of that?
I think it's hard to make a decision about testimony that is done behind closed doors because it's going to be politicized, especially by Democrats who are running the show on this impeachment inquiry, which is like impeachment but not impeachment because it doesn't have the legal backing of impeachment, but they can go back to their left base and say that they're calling people in front of Congress to get information, and then they can leak out selectively what they want to because it's not in front of the public so they can make their own decisions. So I'm going to hold off on my judgment of that. I do want to say that, Jesse, you should do one more thing that is treaties with waters, where you go around the world and tell us about new treaties.
I got a big, thick one right here.
But this is bad for Joe Biden for two reasons. The first reason is that it is bringing attention to these accusations that have been written up in mainstream media for over a year, the New Yorker, the New York Times, about Hunter Biden's dealings. It brings up the issue of corruption. And Joe Biden now has been inconsistent in his account of his talks with his son. So just now in that clip, he says, 000 evidence of any corruption or wrongdoing. Well, when you say 000, you better be correct, because when something comes up in the future, especially in a campaign, you're going to get nailed on it either by Trump or all the other Democrats running in the party. And Elizabeth Warren is now, I think, going to be the front runner pretty soon when it comes to leaping over Joe Biden. She hasn't really jumped onto this because she's allowing Joe Biden to get over this with Trump. But, you know, Joe Biden might not even be the nominee. So what's the question then? Do the investigations continue forward if Warren wins? We'll have to see. Or Warren, the primary.
What do you think about what Dana said was the talking point of the day for the Democrats? Scared, afraid. Mr. Trump afraid.
They should be scared. Look, I hate complaining about this job. We have a great job. We get paid to talk about stuff. But this story just bugs the crap out of me because I know it's so fake. This is a political story masquerading as a moral, social story, right? It's an attempt to turn hearsay into heresy. It's just a congenial phone call, but it's become something so big. And we have to pretend every day when we come here, we have to pretend as we report this stuff that to you, we believe that it's really, really important. When for us, it's just a carousel that we got to hop on and then hop off at the end of the day. Thank God for Hunter Biden. because this is just so much easier to understand when he becomes the focus. The American viewer, when they're at home, they don't care about the phone call. They can look at the transcript and see what it is. But everybody understands nepotism. Everybody understands the pampered, jackass offspring who did nothing productive with his life and just fed off his daddy's name. Everybody knows that guy. Everybody can't stand him, and he's the hood ornament of the swamp jalopy. Right then and there. He is everything that is bad. And then the best part is the media not complaining, but concerned about Trump's anger yesterday. Oh, he seems so upset. That's like lighting firecrackers and complaining about the noise. That's like going to a fish restaurant and going, this tastes fishy. Dude, you created this mess. You've been spending 3 years trying to get the bear to snap. You got him to snap. I also notice how happy the media is that Rachel Maddow finally, has a story. Right? Because for the last 6 months, it's been really sad on her show. The numbers are down, but now she's on The View. There's articles about her. It's like it's like her homecoming. It's just like a homecoming dance and a bat mitzvah put together. Is that what it's called? Bat mitzvah. I'm a Catholic, but I've never seen the media work so hard with so little. The same media that chuckled over Benghazi, in which 4 people died, are now screaming about a phone call. They're screaming about a phone call. How can they do that with a straight face? Anyway, I hate talking about it, but for some reason I was able to do it for 2 minutes.
Well, you talked about it pretty well.
I think you did pretty well. By the way, though, what about like Ivanka and her shoe deal with the Chinese?
But it's an interesting question because all of Trump's kids actually work.
They actually work.
They actually work.
And Ivanka knows about shoes. What does Hunter Biden know about finance?
Gosh. Oh, I can hip hop. All right.